Chapter 66. I'm willing to trust you. Lisa and Emily stared at each other skeptically. When they were departing, Emily said, "What the heck?" Lisa shook her head. "I don't know." At that moment, Sarah was yelling at Lisa as she stormed in. "Lisa, what right do you have to switch out my advertisement?" Emily automatically took a step forward and stopped Sarah's way. "Why? Is it the time for you to be arrogant now? In this circle, it's every man for himself. Everyone is competing against each other. If you can do that to our advertisement, why can't we do the same?" Sarah raised her index finger aggressively at Lisa. "Lisa, don't you know who I am? Whose woman I am? If you dare to resist me, you better, Miss Lisa." Just then, a voice behind penetrated the crowd. It was reserved but proper. A handful of them glanced back in astonishment to discover Ryan standing there. Behind him came a few of James' bodyguards with an air of dominance. The folks around them gazed in astonishment. Sarah froze still and forgot to put her hand down as she glanced at them. Emily also stood there staring in wonder at the individuals who just arrived. Lisa spotted Ryan and instantly inquired, "Assistant Ryan, what brings you here?" Ryan was incredibly respectful and polite to Lisa. "Sir asked me to come over." Lisa acknowledged him and looked about her. She felt it was strange how they appeared so terrified of only one assistant. Sarah restrained her fury and gazed hard at Lisa. Who would have guessed that she would know a person like that? Furthermore, to see Ryan treat her with so much reverence. What gold throne did Lisa sit on? Was it really James? That was inconceivable. Sarah turned back and hastily said, "Mr. Ryan, hello. I'm Sarah." Ryan glanced at Sarah. Although she was a tremendous star and a popular name, Ryan was apathetic toward her. Ryan looked at Lisa and indirectly told Sarah off in an airy tone, "Miss Lisa, Sir said that if anyone made you unhappy, he would settle it for you. Whether it's burying the guy in snow, expelling him from the country, or sending him to Cambodia, he will find a method to make that person vanish without a trace from this country." Sarah shuddered and saw Ryan's gloomy expression. Ryan's gaze darted coolly over to her before returning to Lisa with a lot of respect. Lisa could not be bothered about her as she asked Ryan, "Did Sir come too?" "Where is he?" Ryan said. "Sir is waiting for you out in front." Lisa nodded. She stared at Sarah before turning to head out. Ryan let the bodyguards follow after Lisa. As he turned around, he informed Sarah, "I hope to hear you plead guilty." Sarah's whole body trembled. Watching Lisa leave, she took a long time to warm back up. She thought fiercely. Lisa was actually connected to James. Why? Still, she felt a sense of fear. She promptly took out her phone and contacted Olivia. After Olivia heard what occurred, she almost flung her phone in fury. She hung up and stated to Hannah, "This Lisa is being too arrogant." Hannah questioned with surprise, "Is she really with James?" Olivia huffed, "Even if she is, James is just toying with her. Lisa is nothing." "Yes, exactly. She's not as attractive or elegant as you. I don't believe that James would rather fall for her and not you." However, Olivia felt more enraged the more she thought about it. She was jealous that Lisa had such a good man protecting her. Thinking about James' elegance and attractiveness that day, she felt terribly jealous. He was such an outstanding man. How did Lisa get so lucky? Emily followed the bodyguards with curiosity on her face. They had jet black outfits and an earphone on one side. Emily thinks that she even caught a glimpse of weapons hanging at their waists. They formed a line around the two of them as they went out. They were greeted by a lineup of black cars with James in the middle. Lisa recognized James' car and headed directly to it. The car door opened and James stepped out. Emily's eyes brightened up, but she recalled that this was Nathan's brother. Her face flushed with discomfort. But how could Lisa know James? James stared at Lisa and grimaced. Lisa felt a little ashamed about the advertisement and the police station. "Did you help me?" James answered. "I only greeted them." James continued, "Come, I'll send you home." Lisa nodded and drew Emily aside. "Sister Emily, I'll make a move first. Call me if something happens." Emily caught a sneak glimpse of James and asked Lisa, "You and James, we?" Lisa was awkward. She did not know what to say regarding their connection. Emily recognized that some things were better left unsaid. She was really astonished, and just glanced at Lisa. She was incredibly lucky to know James, one of the biggest giants in the country. She grinned and replied, "All right, Go ahead, I'm off too. Lisa smiled warmly with Emily before moving back to James' dark blue. Portia. James gazed at Emily. Feeling flattered, she lowered her head and smiled at him. She never expected that she would get to be so close to someone so lofty and powerful. James, still looking at her, smiled back frankly. Emily bowed and immediately backed away when she saw him get into the car. Upon his command, the row of bodyguards swiftly got into their cars and sped off while protectively surrounding the dark blue Porsche. In the middle. In the car, Lisa looked at him nervously. Thanks for helping me, James said. Don't sweat it, you are my wife and it's my obligation to help you, Lisa replied. About the drugs, I have never done it, really. James looked to her and said, I trust you. Lisa paused, she was touched by his unflinching trust. James added, although you're uncultured, ill-mannered, lack knowledge and lazy, I believe you wouldn't do something like that. Thanks for the praise. Lisa wanted to tell him to not trust her. James continued, furthermore, it was also my fault that you had to spend a day at the police station. That was not your fault. As your husband, it's my responsibility to help you. However, I was overseas and had no idea something had happened to you. I lost track of time, and for that, I apologize. Chapter 67. Feeding you in extreme ways. Lisa dismissed him with a wave of her hand. There's no need to apologize. It's not your responsibility. No, you are my wife, James insisted. Lisa's heart fluttered. He looked at her with dead earnestness, overwhelming her heart with feelings. He said she was his wife. She hastily turned away, not wanting to see his lovely face. Soon, they arrived home. They walked in one after another. James instructed the maid, give madam some medication. Lisa turned back. James responded, you still have a cold. Take some medicine before going to bed. In the bedroom, Lisa sat down on the bed. The maid brought the medicine in. James took the pills and gestured for the maid to go. He said to Lisa, open your mouth. Lisa said, I'm fine. Really, I don't need to take any medicine. James scowled, open your mouth. Be a good girl. His voice was deep and lovely like a cello. Lisa's pulse palpitated and she thought how uncommon a flawless man like him was. He was so hypnotizing, handsome, wealthy, and even responsible. He was really sweet to her. It was only because he felt responsible to be good to his contract wife that he assisted her so much, but nonetheless, she felt touched. It immediately occurred to her that if they separated one day, she would never be able to meet such a perfect man again. Lisa's heart felt a tiny tinge. James inquired, what are you daydreaming about? Don't act dumb. Open your mouth and take your medicine. Lisa blushed and turned aside. No, really? Really, I'm fine. Anyway, medicine is not helpful for the body. I didn't even take medicine when I had a high temperature of 40 degrees Celsius when I was a kid, and I got well on my own, 40 degrees. James stared at Lisa. She had some type of fortunate to still be alive until today. I finally understand why you're so intellectually challenged. It must be that childhood fever. Bastard. Lisa raised her head in opposition and exclaimed, it's precisely why my body is so strong. I lost so much blood but still survived. Your method is not scientifically proven. Who ignores medicine when they have a high fever? James insisted. Lisa responded, not everyone is born with a golden spoon in their mouth like you. We don't all have a personal doctor at our call. I lived with a nanny when I was little. She was constantly busy, and no one really concerned about me. But it didn't matter because I rarely felt sick. My body is powerful. I just remember experiencing a 40-degree fever that one time. I woke up in the middle of the night, but my nanny wasn't around. I went out to hunt for medicine, but I hadn't learned many words back then, so I mistook a bag of yellow tablets as cold medicine and swallowed them all. I almost scared my nanny to death, and she took me to a local clinic. It turned out that nothing occurred to me, and my fever had already disappeared. The doctor added that kids who typically take medicine would have been in significant risk. I was lucky to have such a powerful immune system. Upon hearing how careless she was, his expression fell, and his thin lips formed a straight line. He had unwittingly moved closer to Lisa. She raised her head and beheld his black pupils. She leaned back, but James whispered threateningly, take your medicine. Don't force me to adopt severe measures. Lisa saw him inch closer to her, his lips and throat moving. She felt her body becoming warmer. so she turned around, ready to go. I'm really okay. I don't need medicine. At that moment, James put the pills in his own mouth. His extended arm reached over to her, and his hand grasped Lisa's chin. He brushed his lips on hers, a chilly tongue, joined by the bitter taste of medicine, assaulted Lisa's mouth. Lisa shouted, and then she felt his lips totally block her breath. The pills slid down her throat as she stopped breathing momentarily. What was worse was that even after the drug had gone down, his tongue was still exploring her mouth. Not wanting to go after what seemed like eternity, he finally released her lips. Lisa coughed fiercely. James noted her ears had turned crimson, and the corners of his mouth twisted into a smile. As she raised her head, he handed her a chilled cup of water. Drink some water to help yourself. Lisa speechlessly glared at him. James stepped closer to her, full with amusement. Why do you need me to make you drink water the hard way too? Lisa burst. She huffed, bastard. She grasped the cup of water and hastily took a massive swallow. James nodded in delight. Good girl. Don't try to challenge me next time. Lisa thought this individual was pure wickedness. However, he only wanted her to take the prescription for her own benefit. She felt a little warm in her heart. When she was young, nobody had cared so much about her but her nanny. James gazed at her. I hope you get well soon. I don't want you passing it to me. Seriously, relax. My body is incredibly strong. I'll heal shortly. Also, what you just did will make giving it to you even easier. Strong. You became sick out of the blue. James' eyes was riveted on her lips. Saliva can kill germs and bacteria. You won't pass it through that. Just take care of yourself. It was true. Since he was pampered like a king in the Ryan family, he had so many people tend to him. He did not need her care. Even if he acquired a minor cold, he would have a team of doctors all ready to treat him. They were a part of two separate universes. Lisa instantly understood how different they were, and how remote she was from him. Lisa added, It's not like I get into an accident every time. But then again, a lot of things had happened to her recently. If she was not getting harmed, she was becoming sick. She thought, Emily probably did not experience all those things as she did. She started to blame herself. No surprise James liked Emily. She was good and obedient. She never got into any problems, Lisa thought. Perhaps people were correct when they didn't approve of her being with James. A woman like Emily was more suited for him. At least her life was comfortable and decent. She did not have many troubles. In her life, on the other hand, a small bug like Lisa had a life full of troubles that she could not avoid, even if she wanted to. James said, All right, go to sleep quickly. But I haven't washed up. Lisa said. James responded, Don't. You're still sick. Nobody is complaining anyway. But shut up and sleep, he said and snuggled her down with the covers. Lisa thought, nobody was as bossy as him. Chapter 68. If you don't tell me, I'm going to kiss you that night. James slept on the couch at the side. When Lisa stood up to go to the bathroom, she spotted James sleeping there. Unfortunately, the couch was indeed a little too small for his 1.9-meter height. He had to put his legs up to fit on the couch. Lisa felt slightly uneasy as she glanced at him. She bent her head and glanced at him. Fast sleeping. James' tiny lips were tightly pursed. His brow was relaxed and lacked the normal sternness, making him look a lot more compassionate. His amazing skin, which was absolutely smooth such that no pores were evident, definitely made ladies envy. She looked at him like that for a long before holding her chin as she instinctively went a bit closer to him. This man was indeed her spouse. Thinking about it, she still thought that it was miraculous. Furthermore, her hubby was extremely attractive. No celebrity or artist she had met looked more perfect than him. Of course, the reason that Nathan could be so famous was partially because their Ryan family genes were superb. There was also Mr. President. He was believed to be the most charismatic president they ever had in many years. It was evident that the Ryan family genes were exceptionally great. Lisa recognized that although the two of them had been married for a very long time, this was still her first experience seeing him in such depth. It became out that his eyelashes were incredibly lengthy when she stared at them like way. It came out that the corners of his eyes were elevated pretty high when she stared at them like this. It turns out that his lips were so large. So, what are you looking at so sneakily? At this moment, she suddenly heard James' muffled voice all at once. Lisa almost fell to the ground on her butt. When she lifted her head, she noticed him looking at her with a countenance full of malice. His teasing look made Lisa feel absolutely humiliated. I'm looking at you. Why? You're my husband. I can't even look at you, Lisa said. Feigning calmness, she glanced at James indignantly. The statement, "You're my husband," made his eyes stir. His smile broadened as he came slightly closer to her. His face grew rapidly and gave Lisa the urgent need to move backward. However, James instantly seized her chin between his fingers and prevented her from moving. Lisa cried, "Why did you come so close? You're my wife. Why can't I come a bit closer?" The statement, "You're my wife," made Lisa's cheeks begin to heat up immediately. James seemed to be looking at her lips teasingly. "Tell me, what were you doing so close to me? I saw something on your face." Lisa avoided the stare he shot directly at her. "How's that possible? There's nothing on my face." "Of course there is, there's so much eye crust." Lisa was making stuff up. Her. "You think everyone is as sloppy as you," James snorted. Lisa glared at him aggressively. He was looking down at her again. But it was very unusual. This man seemed to be capable of continually being elegant. Even lying on an inferior couch like this, his sleeping posture might be so pleasant to look at. It was as if he had not moved once throughout the night, and his face perpetually looked incredibly clean. "Are you telling me or not? What exactly were you looking at?" He glanced at Lisa repeatedly. If you don't tell me, I'm going to kiss you." James approached her abruptly, shocked. Lisa only felt that he was about to crash with her nose. But then, he stopped moving at the ideal time, just like that, from the appropriate distance. He used his breath to stir up her feelings and make her cheeks itch. You, wrong answer. The second his speech broke off, his lips swiftly and palpably dropped upon hers, brushing her lips slightly like a dragonfly skimming across the lake. Lisa was astonished. You really kissed me?" Looking at her scared expression, which seemed as if she had seen a ghost, James almost broke out in laughing instantly. "I never joke around," James remarked severely. Lisa was so afraid that she swiftly pushed James away. Looking at her rush to escape, James broke out in laughing for real this time. As she listened to his mocking laughter, Lisa actually felt that she had embarrassed herself totally. She walked directly into the bathroom and closed the door, her heart about to jump out of her chest. This could not do. She had to go further away from him, otherwise, what was she going to do about this man, who suddenly adored playing as a hooligan for no reason? At night, Lisa did not get a good sleep at all. But on the second day, Lisa very immediately received a bit of excellent news. The conversations about her on the news had already faded. The police had indeed issued an apology immediately, stating that was just an accident, and that everyone had insulted an innocent person also. Lisa's advertisement deal was also very soon set in stone. When Lisa arrived at the organization, Emily was presently waiting for her inside. Her face could not help but quiver upon seeing Lisa before she led her in while saying, "According to the rumors, that Synmira has already been banned." Is that so?" Lisa said in a perplexed tone. "Who said that?" Emily remarked. "Everyone in the industry knows. Synmira angered someone, thus her management business previously terminated her contract. Right now, there's not one management organization that dares to sign her on again either. While she's allowed to take on work on her own, the fundamental difficulty is that no employer dares to collaborate with her too. I suppose she'll gradually fade after this." Lisa blinked. She believed that it was incredibly easy for a person to vanish from this career. Emily added, "I can tell that James is doting on you quite a bit." Lisa's cheeks grew slightly crimson in an instant as she stared at Emily in embarrassment. But, thinking about it, she felt instead that wasn't the case. James was just irresponsible. He felt like he owed her because even after their marriage, he still met Mohuling periodically. However, she did not feel that the marriage this time between the two of them was all because she had stirred up difficulty, nor did she feel that it was his fault. Their marriage was a product of both their mistakes. They could not blame each other. Lisa sighed once before replying, "Emily, you don't understand. This isn't about whether he dotes on me or not, but he is, in real fact, a very good person." Chapter 69. You actually came to pick me up. She understood for a long time that, since it was Nathan's television series, there would undoubtedly be appearances on high-quality programs like this to generate anticipation and exposure before the series premiered. However, Lisa did not realize that she herself would also get the chance to make an appearance. After all, discussion between the crew and the production team of the shows was still needed to select who would be chosen when the time came. Lisa had been preparing for this presentation with a lot of excitement, but when she exited, she noticed that James had truly arrived to pick her up. He was driving the car just outside the company. Lisa hurriedly responded to Olivia. "Then I'll take my leave first, Sister Olivia." Olivia nodded her head. "Quick, go ahead." She gazed at the James family's modest Porsche. Her eyes twitched. Contrary to what she had assumed, it turned out that Lisa was truly involved with James. Previously, she could not determine what exactly was appealing about this petite lass Lisa, but after conversing with her for a long time, she indeed felt that although Lisa was quite loud, she was in reality very interesting and very sincere as well. Lisa hopped into the car and looked at James. "Why did you come to pick me up? Isn't it normal for a husband to pick up his wife?" He looked at her and asked instead, instantly. Lisa's heart raced. However, James twisted the corners of his mouth. "The James family wants us to make a trip back, so I came to pick you up." She just knew it. Lisa felt humiliated about the ridiculous touched expression she had shown earlier. She actually wanted to hit herself twice, very soon. James and Lisa arrived together at the James residence. Security at the entrance was still quite rigorous, but because she was here with James, they only provided a signal before James drove straight through the magnificent bronze gates. When they reached inside, Lisa did not go in together with James. She went in and instantly looked for Sarah. "Mother, I'm here," she said, smiling as she entered. James followed suit subsequently. The instant she saw Lisa, Sarah was really thrilled. She grabbed at her and said, "Why did you lose weight?" Lisa replied, "Isn't it good to be a little slimmer?" "Of course it's not good." Sarah lifted her head. "James, why didn't you take good care of Lisa?" Startled, James said, "It's her own fault for being stupid. She's always stirring up trouble for herself. She either falls unwell or meets with a tragedy." "What can I do?" Sarah answered. "Nonsense. You just know how to create excuses. By the way, your brother is back. He's inside," Sarah added to Lisa. "You didn't conduct a wedding ceremony either, so you haven't met the brothers. Go together with James." Lisa did not want to be connected with James at all. Throwing a frown at James, she added gently to Sarah, "I still want to accompany Mother for a while." "Why would you accompany this old woman?" "Look, James is glaring at me. It's best for you married lovebirds to spend more time together. Go ahead." Lisa could only look at James and follow him grudgingly as he marched forwards. Shortly later, Sarah caught up with them as well. She trailed behind them to go meet Ryan together. James stared at Lisa and bowed his head to say, "Why are you so unwilling to be around me?" Lisa moved her head around swiftly. "How am I unwilling?" James hastily pulled Lisa's hand. "Then why aren't you looking at me?" With her hand in his grasp, Lisa's body tensed totally. She looked down at her own hand and frantically tried to shake him off. "How am I not looking at you? I realize that you really have been continuously avoiding me. Why? What did I do that you're unsatisfied with to the extent that you must avoid me?" "I'm definitely not avoiding you, all right?" Left with no choice, Lisa gazed into his eyes, which were studying her closely. However, she could not tell him that whenever she saw him, her mind raced wild with dirty fantasies. Thus, she could only shrug him off fiercely and walk on fast. "Hey, you behind her." James' brow began to wrinkle sharply. As Sarah watched the two of them from the rear, she could not help but smile slightly. It looked like the two of them were getting along very well. They did not have that feeling of mutual respect between husband and wife. Instead, they flirted, acted irrationally, and argued. These were precisely signals of improvement in their relationship. Lisa followed James inside. Lisa responded, I thought there would be many people following Mr. President here right now." James' face was tight. He stared at her and stated in a bland tone, "He's in his own home. Why would he need people following him? Those bodyguards from the National Security Bureau or something." Lisa had seen them on television before. Allegedly, Those folks were all quite terrifying. James added, they're not even as skillful as the James family's own security service, so once they reach the James residence, there's practically no need for them, huh? The James family's security service is that formidable? James gazed at Lisa as if he was looking at an idiot. Don't you usually watch the news? Of course I do. It's likely that no one dares to publish official reports of news about the James family. However, there should be quite a few unofficial reports. You'll know once you do a search on the internet. I usually only read entertainment news. Dumbfounded, James gazed at Lisa. You really have nothing better to do. Why? This is called loving the job I take up as an artist. Of course I pay closer attention to entertainment news, HMPH. James lifted the corners of his lips for no reason as he glanced at her angry countenance. Lisa questioned further. What news is it exactly? Can't you just tell me? James let out a sigh. The James family's entire security service was trained professionally abroad before returning. The bodyguards from the National Security Bureau cannot compare to the security service here at all. Every single one of the guards here are top-notch snipers, wrestlers, trackers, and anti-tracking personnel. Without having the best skills, there's no way they can stand here. Wow, that's so awesome. Isn't it rather pricey then? Lisa was very interested in this topic. James responded carelessly. It's not that extreme either. These few close proximity ones have a monthly income of only $3 million. Lisa felt that she could no longer look at these burly lads the same way again. So they were all wealthy folks. Lisa could not help but swivel her head to have a peek before again catching up with James. James looked at her money-hungry demeanor and replied, that's enough with me as your husband. You're already the wealthiest person in the world, Sha. You narcissist, she scowled at James. James could not help but smile. They arrived inside soon after. It was rare for Ryan to be dressed in homewear. He sat inside looking at something and pretended to be quite busy, even here. He was spending some time to settle work things. Big brother, why were you so free to come home today? James' tone was quite casual. On the other hand, Lisa was slightly scared. She did not expect that she would one day be able to stand in front of the president. Furthermore, he was even her senior brother-in-law. Ryan saw Lisa quickly and grinned before heading up to her. This is sister-in-law. This is the first time we met. Chapter 70. The two of them are really well suited to each other. The two of them shook hands casually. From behind, Sarah smiled while saying, Quick, have a seat. What are you all staring at? Lisa swiftly walked to Sarah's side. Mother, I want to sit together with you. Sarah still wanted to say something but believed that it would be more convenient for James and Ryan to speak alone. Thus, she stopped herself from speaking again. She looked at Lisa and said, You cling to me so much, be careful, James will get angry. Lisa hugged Sarah's arm lovingly. He's welcome to get angry if he wants. I like Mother the most. I don't like him. Sarah simply liked to clutch onto her own daughter-like way. She had always believed that it would be lovely to have a daughter like this. Now, with Lisa being so attached, it seemed to satisfy Sarah's wish. She could not help but be even happier. With Lisa on her arm, she let her cling as much as she wanted to. On the other hand, James' eyes rested intently on Lisa as he glanced at her. He only turned his attention back again when he heard Ryan call him. The popular vote in the general election this time should still be in our favor. James began to talk serious issues with Ryan. Ryan remarked, the voting trend in C Nation isn't obvious right now. There are still 2 cities with unknown voting trends, H City and S City. That's right. H City has a larger grassroots population. If Big Brother is willing to immediately marry a Madam President from the civilian class, you will presumably collect quite a number of votes in exchange. I shall create a series of industrial factories in S City again to take in the personnel there. That will only leave us to cope with H City. Coincidentally, Big Brother is still short of a wife. Ryan's expression hardened. He gazed opposite him towards Sarah. Sure enough, as Sarah heard this, she got immediately thrilled. Yes, your younger brother is right, Ryan. You're already so old too. It's time for you to contemplate settling down and having a family. A man can only give off a feeling of security and maturity when he's married. This will be helpful for your career as well. Furthermore, you're already so old, Mother. Ryan put down his teacup and scowled at James. His matter has been resolved, so now You guys are starting to open fire on me together. Sarah answered, It's because I think what James said makes sense. In reality, girls from commoner families are good too. They're real, unpretentious, and don't have so many negative intents either. Ryan, if you're alright with it, I'll help you choose a couple. Maybe those who are teachers or physicians. They're not all bad. Lisa did not expect Mr. President to likewise be put in a tough situation of being pressured to marry. She could not help but begin to observe the fun from here. Ryan's gaze altered a little. He peered outdoors and was a little stuck for words. Sarah recalled something again. She stared at James and Lisa. You two don't just look on either. Although you're married now, James is at the age to have a child as well. I won't force you because I know that both of you are furthering their careers. However, you must start thinking about that too, you hear me? Lisa froze it immediately. Feeling slightly concerned, she happened to glance at James' expression. Opposite her, the two of them gazed at each other in dismay, worried that James was angry. Lisa responded quickly, Mother, we still want to enjoy our lives as a romantic couple. For the time being, we don't want children. Sarah paused for a minute before saying, That's true too, you've only been married for a short period. Therefore you're absolutely unwilling. James' brow wrinkled. He gazed on as Lisa expressed a terrified expression when she heard about children. If he had a child with Lisa, he involuntarily thought that if he and Lisa actually had a child, he or she would undoubtedly be lovely. Lisa's skin was so white that it felt like it was soaked in milk, and he was not too bad looking either. If their relationship came to that stage, their child would not have any defects. But possibly the child's intellect would depend on luck. If he or she inherited that idiotic brain of Lisa's, then his or her future would be frightening. Seeing that James had actually furrowed his brow deeply, Lisa hurriedly responded, Yes, yes. And once we have a child, Mother won't like me anymore. You'll just like the child then. I still want Mother to dote on me for a bit more. You? That's true too, you're still too young, we'll see when you grow older. Sarah patted her shoulder. Do TINGL? Why not? Lisa just sighed a sigh of relief at this. She smiled and looked at James opposite her. His expression was still dismal. James lifted his eyes and calmly picked up his cup to drink water. He seemed like he didn't want to be bothered with her. Lisa thought, He's so petty. Didn't I previously say that we would not have a child, even? With this, he was still upset. However, she soon sensed that something under the table was slowly inching closer to her. When their toes caressed her delicate thigh, Lisa blanked out totally. Instantly, her body stiffened with angry eyes. She glared at James opposite her, who was still wearing a poker face. She cursed him in her head. What exactly was he doing? However, his leg was still traveling upwards. Her dress was hiked up. Thereafter, she felt his flesh going upwards even more slowly on her thigh. He was aiming straight for her sensitive area. Lisa tilted her body instinctively. Sarah asked in amazement, What happened? Lisa's face became red instantaneously. Nothing, there was only a mosquito. When Sarah heard this, she raised her hand and shouted, What's going on? Why are there mosquitoes in the room? The maids hurried in to solve the matter. As Lisa gazed on, she scowled venomously at James opposite her. However, James was still acting like nothing had happened. His head lowered as he drank his tea. His motions smooth and calm. Lisa thought gloomily. He was literally a beast in a human shape. Lisa had just suppressed her thoughts and sat down calmly. But this time, she again felt his long arm stretched just under the table. His fingertips lingered lightly on her leg. The harsh contact made her entire body jolt. This damn jerk. How could he play hoodlum at this moment? Opposite her, the corners of James' mouth lifted upwards as he caressed the softness in his hand. His eyes began to brighten up as well, as if he was tremendously pleased. His burning body heat dimly went to her via his palm. She could still palpably feel that he was gently beginning to caress her. The heat caused by the contact made her entire body even more tense. Finally, weary of all her forbearance, Lisa directly stated. Sarah stared at Lisa in confusion. Are there still mosquitoes? Lisa nodded her head vigorously. She gazed unyieldingly at the person opposite her. A big mosquito. Sarah stopped before following her line of vision and glancing opposite as well. James raised his head with great composure. He gazed at Lisa with a really innocent gaze. Sarah broke into a smile. She swept her eyes over the two persons and thought that the two of them truly appeared more well-matched the more she looked at them.